In a land scorched by relentless sun, there was a village teetering on the edge of despair. For years, not a single drop of rain had graced their parched fields. The riverbeds were cracked earth, the trees stood like brittle skeletons, and the people's faces were etched with worry. They had prayed to every deity, performed every ancient ritual, but the sky remained a cruel, cloudless blue. Hope was a resource more scarce than water. One scorching afternoon, a stranger walked into the village. He was an old man, his face a roadmap of wrinkles, his clothes simple and travel-worn. He carried nothing but a small, worn leather bag. He approached the village elder and said in a voice as dry as the dust, "I am a rainmaker. I can bring rain to your lands." The villagers gathered around broke into bitter laughter. A rainmaker? They had seen countless charlatans and false prophets who promised the sky and delivered only more emptiness. "Old man," sneered one farmer, "we've heard promises like yours before. They're as hollow as our wells. Go peddle your fantasies elsewhere." Another added, "Look at him. He looks like he couldn't conjure a single dewdrop, let alone a storm." The mockery was loud and cutting, but the old man's expression remained serene. He simply nodded and said, "I ask for nothing but a quiet hut to stay in and food and water for 5 days. If rain does not fall by the 5th day, you can drive me out." The village elder, weary but with a flicker of desperation in his eyes, agreed. What more did they have to lose? They gave the old man a small, isolated hut at the edge of the village and left him to his own devices. The villagers continued to jeer. "The old fool is probably just looking for a free meal," they'd mutter to each other. They watched the hut, expecting strange incantations or bizarre dances, but the old man did nothing of the sort. For the first day he did not emerge, or the second, or the third. The villagers grew more suspicious. They'd peek through the cracks in the hut, only to see the old man sitting silently in the middle of the room, perfectly still, in a state of deep meditation. He wasn't chanting. He wasn't mixing potions. He was just being. This was not the spectacle they expected, and their ridicule intensified. "He's a fraud. He's just sleeping in there while our crops die." On the 4th day, something shifted. A gentle breeze, the first in months, stirred the dead leaves on the ground. The air, usually thick with oppressive heat, felt a little lighter. A few villagers noticed it, but dismissed it as a coincidence. Still, the old man remained in his hut, quiet and undisturbed. The sky, however, was no longer a blank, piercing blue. A few wisps of white clouds began to appear on the distant horizon like shy ghosts. The mockery began to quiet down, replaced by a nervous curiosity. People started gathering near the hut, no longer shouting insults, but watching in silent anticipation. They could feel a change in the atmosphere, a certain tension, a promise. On the morning of the 5th day, the villagers awoke to a world transformed. The sky was a canvas of heavy, dark grey clouds. The air was cool and thick with the smell of petrichor, the long-forgotten scent of rain on dry earth. And then it happened. A single fat drop of water hit the dusty ground. Then another and another. Within moments, a gentle drizzle turned into a steady, life-giving downpour. Cheers erupted throughout the village. People ran out of their homes, faces turned to the heavens, letting the cool water wash away the dust and despair. They danced, they sang, they cried tears of joy that mingled with the rain. For the first time in years, the sound of laughter was genuine, born not of bitterness, but of pure, unadulterated relief. The rain filled their empty barrels, soaked into the thirsty soil and promised a future. In their celebration they remembered the old man. A crowd, now humbled and grateful, made their way to his hut. They found him packing his small leather bag, ready to leave. The village elder stepped forward, his voice thick with emotion. "Please, stay," he begged. "You are a miracle worker. We were fools to mock you. Name your price. We will give you anything, gold, livestock, the finest home in the village." The old man smiled gently, a smile that seemed to hold the wisdom of the ages. "I need no payment," he said. "You have already given me what I needed." The elder was confused. "But we gave you nothing but an old hut and some scraps of food. We gave you only our scorn." The Rainmaker looked at the elder, and his gaze seemed to pierce right through him. "When I arrived," he explained, I felt the discord in your village, the anger, the hopelessness, the way you treated each other. It was all out of balance. Your hearts were as dry and cracked as your land. The heavens and the earth are connected. When the people are not in harmony, the land cannot be in harmony either. He continued, his voice calm and steady amidst the falling rain. I did not perform a magical ritual for rain. I simply went into that hut and put myself into a state of harmony. I found peace within myself. I aligned my own inner world with the natural order of the universe. Your skepticism turned to curiosity. Your discord turned to unity and anticipation. As the village slowly came into harmony, it allowed nature to restore its own balance. The rain didn't come because I forced it. It came because the conditions were finally right. The villagers stood in stunned silence. They had been so focused on the external problem, the lack of rain, that they had failed to see the internal one, their own lack of unity and hope. They had looked for a grand magical solution, but the answer was simple and profound. It was about restoring balance, starting from within. The old man shouldered his bag. The rain will continue for as long as you maintain your harmony, he said as his parting words. Care for your land, but more importantly, care for each other. Your greatest power is not in demanding miracles from the sky, but in creating harmony on the ground. With that, the Rainmaker walked away, disappearing into the grey, misty curtain of the very rain he had brought. The villagers never saw him again, but they never forgot his lesson. From that day forward, they worked together, supported each other, and faced their challenges with a united spirit. The rains came when they were needed, the fields turned green, and the village prospered. They learned that the greatest magic wasn't about changing the weather, but about changing themselves. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.